Hello, it's Andrew Eborn here with another edition of Lives on Lockdown, and we're going to go all the way back to Zambia. Hello, it's Andrew Eborn. Welcome back after that wonderful break. I have taken you all around the world. We've been to Barbados, we've been to Australia, and we've also been to Zambia, where we're going back now to join Andy. Hello, Andy. How are you doing?
I had a banana, so I'm okay.
Banana.
You know, it's wonderful.
Very good bananas. Banana's got a lot of zinc in it. Did you know that?
I didn't. I wonder what the crispy taste was.
We love it. So it's one of the things about lockdown is you're learning so much about the different food, and we've been talking about cacao, the power of chocolate and how good that is about chocolate cake and things like that. But also bananas are really, really good. So bananas for zinc, that's what you've got to do. And potassium, I think there's a lot of potassium in a banana.
There is.
Anyway, good,
yeah.
You're looking a lot healthier. I've also been rehearsing, because last time we were here, we were talking about paper planes. And here we are. This is something I've got a remote control, Andy. This is especially for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
There you go. Look at that. Thank you. It flew in.
Oh,
it's
good.
like one of these special ones. And the great thing is, you see, that's amazing. And the back is huge. So thank you.
Andrew, that is a sort of paper aircraft that young mothers make.
No, it's designed for everything. It is superb. But this is, I'm going to send this all the way over to you in Zambia. We're cutting it.
I'll get it. Hang on.
Right then. Wait a minute. We'll synchronize it.
Hang on a minute.
We'll make it look good in the edit.
Nearly lost it. Hold on. No, wait. We'll talk about something else while I get some.
Nobody's watching this bit. Here we go.
They're not watching. Well, I'll make one then. I'll make the same as yours.
Are you ready, Andy?
No.
This is going to be our moment. I say nobody knows this bit. Are you ready? Here we go.
Hold on. I'll make the same dreadful plane you've made.
No, it's not a dreadful plane, and it wasn't made by me. Okay, stay there. Hide that bit. We'll hide that bit. We'll do this.
Right.
I'll do this. Yeah. Here I am with my fingers. You ready? And when I click my fingers, only me in isolation. Okay, here we are. Click my fingers. The remote-controlled airplane. Here it comes. There we go. Look at that. Fantastic. That's good. Can you see that? Isn't that a miracle? Pointy nose.
Yes.
Terribly over the shot. And it's going to send all the way over to you in Zambia. Are you ready, Andy?
Please do. Yes.
All the way to Zambia.
Oh, blimey! Look at that.
Oh, it did it right.
Amazing.
Right.
So are we not live now? Are we live or not?
You've been live all along. Well, anyway, thank you, Andy. Thank you. Well done. All good stuff.
Seriously, this is the sort of plane that I get parents make, and when I said to make a paper plane, and they make one like this, and usually they've got these wings lower down, and they like this at the back, and of course it flips over. It doesn't fly properly. And that's why I teach them to make paper aircraft, so that they can bond with their children.
And this is what I love about these sort of things, is that we're on lockdown now. So lockdown means it's lower production values. So that is the new Star Wars. You know, we're going to do that. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, yes,
I love it.
These are the new.
Oh, that's a good one.
Different ones like this, and you've got the Crazy Stunt Special.
Oh, that's the one that does the loop, isn't it?
Yes, it loops around all over the place. Yeah, that's that one there. And so you had a helper throwing the plane in, did you?
I didn't have a helper. I'm here in isolation. It's a remote-controlled plane.
Okay, I believe you.
It's got to be good, and it will look so good in the edit. I love it. So, Andy, last time we spoke about, and it was lovely to meet Maureen as well, because you get a real sense of the people. And what we touched on beforehand is that so often in the interviews that we do in the media, we get a few minutes, and we have that horrible phrase, "Well, I'm afraid we're out of time." Just when it's getting interesting. So what I love about this is finding out about real stuff. And we'll follow up on all those stories. You'll come back again, and let's follow that as it evolved. But basically, where we got to last time, you met on a Christian website, you fell in love, you had a baby, or you conceived a baby, you then got married in Zambia, and you could only have
we had a wedding. We had a tribal wedding first of all,
right?
Which is something which is much more. It's a very long process, and some of the process I'm not there for, and other bits I am there for. So it's quite colourful. There was quite a lot of people there. There's lots of shitengis, which is their cloth which they use to wrap themselves. You saw Maureen had a shitengi round her.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's what they will use, and the bride will actually come in on her hands and knees, covered in this cloth, so she's hidden, and she comes in, so nobody gets to see her. And then when you come in, you have to put money down on the shitengi, and they roll it up, and they put more money, and then eventually they reveal her. So it's almost like pay to view.
Good heavens! And how extraordinary! But you didn't have that because you're on lockdown. Is that right?
No, we had that at the kitchen party part of the ceremony.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But that was 4 years ago.
Oh, good heavens! Right.
Yes, and then it's been until then. We've done things because of Maureen's mum's cancer, unfortunately, and me paying for her cancer treatment. It took quite a long time, so I couldn't come to Zambia for a year because I had no money left.
Oh, right. So weddings happen in stages then. So you have this glorious ceremony, which sounds like a magic trick where you wrap somebody up and they
yes, exactly. Yes, it's a very much a traditional thing, and because I'm English, they allowed me to be involved with it a lot more than I would normally be.
So talk me through the stages. So the first one is, so the different stages. So you proposed, you did that, you did your online thing. But the first thing is then they do this ceremony, and there's a lot of.
I proposed in Zambia. I proposed in Zambia, in Lusaka, to Maureen. I asked her to marry me in Lusaka.
Did you get down on one knee?
Did, yes, of course.
Of course.
Why wouldn't? I'm an Englishman. Of course I did. Yes.
I wonder. And what were the words you used?
I think I said the basic one is that would you marry me? I think it was nothing more exciting than that. It's that was a concept of it. I think she knew anyway that I was going to ask her.
I think the subtle clue is when you go down on one knee as well, isn't it?
I think that does help a lot, yes.
And were you, I mean, I'm always interested in this sort of stuff. Did you have the ring in your pocket and you were just trying to find the right moment, or did you choreograph everything beautifully?
No, I think it was just, I had the ring in my pocket and I knew I was going to do it. I didn't want to make a lot of song and dance at the time. I don't know why, but it just felt natural to do it there and then. And so that's what we did. So that was good. And then the next time I came back, then we planned for the kitchen party and the traditional wedding.
And it's called a kitchen party, as in K-I-Q.
Yes, because kitchen. They usually, people will bring along things like white goods.
Oh, I see.
They'll bring along cutlery and things like that. It's a very practical.
So it's like a baby shower, but it's the equivalent for a wedding, yeah?
A wedding, that's right. So it's the same as the English one. When you get married, people bring you toasters, and by the dozens, because they're on sale in Argos at the time. So you get 6 toasters, all the same blooming design, that break down after 3 months. When you've given the others away as Christmas presents or birthday presents, then you realise they're no good anyway. But
so you have, so that's like the first stage then. So you had the proposal, which you did. You had the kitchen party when you get all these.
The kitchen party is very much dancing. We had Zulu drummers. We had.
Oh, I love those.
Also, you know, a woman with very piercing. I remember her. She had very piercing eyes, but almost like blue eyes. She was African, but she had blue piercing eyes, which is very strange. And she was really good on the drums.
Absolutely. Did they do that leaping? Because you had that fan where you sort of put the hands at the side, and then.
That's right. I've been to Kenya. I've been to the Masai Mara places in Kenya. I've been to the treetops. I've been to their villages, and I've seen them there. So it's quite.
Oh, but it gets you going. I tell you what, there's something about, and I've seen it in many, many countries, in Japan, where they have these enormous taiko drums and things like that, and it gets you going every time. There's something very, gets you to the core, doesn't it?
Yes, I think it's a nice, I think some of the appeal of having a relationship with somebody from a different culture is that you're interested all the time in lots of things, because you don't know as a matter of course. So if you're English, if someone starts singing Silent Night or Oh Come All Ye Faithful, you just know it anyway. Even if you don't sing it regularly, you know it.
Right.
Land of Hope and Glory, we know it. But if you then start to find different cultures and different things, there's always something interesting about it. The food's different. It's not always to your liking. Sometimes you don't like it. Sometimes we eat caterpillars out here. We don't eat cockroaches, but we'll eat caterpillars. There's caterpillars which have got a very high nutritional value. Yeah. They're dried often. You've got dried fish, kapenta fish, which is a dried fish. That you'll eat quite a lot, quite regularly within Shima, because it's very good. A lot of the food there is served up in plates with 3 sections on it. And you'll wash your hands. People traditionally will come out with a bowl of water and you wash your hands and then you pick up the food, you pick up the shimmer, take a piece of it, and it's like potato. It's like mashed potato, but it's much thicker and heavier. And you can use that, and you put your thumb in the middle of it and make a scoop, and you scoop up they call it soup. We call it gravy.
Yes.
They call it soup, and use its tomatoes and onion and stock and juices from the meat. So you'll have the meat one separately. You'll have some things like rape vegetable, which is a vegetable they use, a lot of that. We have spinach in our garden here. We also have one called 5-year. All sorts of things. They're pumpkin leaves. We even eat pumpkin leaves as well, which we'd never think to do in England. But they grow these things here, and you can eat them. So you do that. So you'd have that all in your hand. You mix them together. So usually if you're coming in and someone's eating something, you shake their wrist, because you don't shake their hand, because their hand's got a million of food all on it. So if you see someone, they're having a meal, they say, oh, come in, and they will offer you your wrist. They do this. Whereas everyone now does elbows. I've known for many, many years that if someone's got food, you shake their wrist.
Okay, so you don't really touch hand. I mean, I think the days of shaking hands are probably gone anyway, because people are so scared.
Well, I saw somebody shake someone's hand the other day, and I was shocked.
Right.
Now, how surprising is that? I'm shocked that someone shook their hand.
Yes, no, of course. Well,
normally,
but you're used to the cultural thing, which is fascinating. So, and
well, we do this, boom, with the knuckles.
Oh yeah,
even that
fist bump. We do a fist bump over the ocean.
but like this, and I usually do this with the kids.
Yeah.
I hit the thing and I go boom like that, and so it's like an explosion,
Well, look at you down with the kids, Andy.
Well, I'm with it, man. I'm there.
I realise it's glorious. So wonderful stuff. No, but and this is what I love about culturally, people are just not used to what people eat, and insects are actually very high in nutrition, aren't they?
But what most people don't realise is that dried crickets makes up a lot of the calcium in a lot of the ready-made food. Right. They will get dried crickets, they grind them up into a powder, that becomes calcium, and that's added into lots of foods that we eat that are ready meals, for example, have got calcium in them. That is from crickets.
There you go. Fantastic.
People don't realise it.
It's not cricket. That's what
not cricket. Dead right, old boy. Yes.
Fantastic. Bowled over with this new nutritional advice. It's got to be good. You're on a sticky wicket here, Andy. It's going to be good.
Excuse me.
No, lovely. Well, look, next time, I would actually, as you said, we're going to get you on. We're going to do some local dishes, and Maureen's going to talk us through, because I love that sort of stuff. Absolutely brilliant. What I'd like
we can show you it cooking in the garden, yeah.
Oh, no, but great. That's okay. We'll take the camera outside. So when we get you back on the show, we'll do that next time, so we can get cooking. And I told you, on the show, we've had some world-famous chefs preparing their signature dishes, because they're all on furlough and they're not working in their 5-star hotels and things like that. So they've been on this show, and we've had and we've got all sorts of different cuisine. I love to do some Zambian cuisine, and we've talked about some of that last time. So next time, let's get that ready. Whenever you're ready, we'll bring you back on the show. Today, what I'd like are some headline things to get people started. And again, what I'd like to do is drip feed this. I want some headline things, the usual questions about paper airplanes. Now, you've answered, I've seen so many interviews with you where you're always asked the same things. So from the one show to Tony the other night to all these sort of people around the world, they always ask you the same thing. Talk us through, and you must have a little click thing. Talk us through how you started.
I've got the record. I've got bad notes here.
Oh, those are your notes. You don't need your notes. I don't forget your notes.
No, I do, because I can't remember the number of seconds that things are done, because they change, and then it's difficult. Simply say, well, what's it in feet? What's it in meters? And you think, oh, it's like having a school exam. I know. And what it used to be, it's like magicians when they go into to a party or something like that. First of all, they say that you're a magician. The first thing they're going to say is, show us a trick. And then the other thing that people will say is, can you make my wife disappear? And you should stand there with like a clicker. And I know a number of magicians say, yes, of course I can, but it will cost you half your income and your house. And it works on that sort of basis. So there are always things that people say when people do it. Yeah. So what I'd like you to do is give us, and we didn't even do the gag, I used to have an origami business, but it folded. I know.
Ta-da!
Where are you? What's your classic one I remember from you years ago? I mean, must be, oh gosh. I can't think how many years ago. It's a long, long time ago anyway. When you said to somebody on stage at the Magic Circle, you said, where are you from? They said, Surrey. You said, oh, I'm sorry. And they said, no, they said, I'm from Surrey. That was, and I thought, gosh,
But
I've noticed your style has changed a bit since then.
You see, it's always a thrill. Yes, it's always a joy.
Yourself and Faye Presto. I mean, it's I've been seeing wonderful seeing Faye going round doing all of her things.
Oh no, she's been wonderful, hasn't she? She's been a local hero, making her own.
Yeah, using her garbage thing and saying, "Hello, darling, how are you?" It's been fantastic watching that.
Oh, it's been absolutely glorious. So what I'd like to do then is let's have the headlines. We're going to set this up beautifully, and this will then be a regular feature where people can come back. And what I want to do, I really want to encourage interaction. Well, people come back with their stories, their show, their paper planes, they do all that bits and pieces. So give us first, you can probably test me. I probably know a lot about this stuff based on your previous interviews.
Yeah.
But give us the headline stuff. This is what I want you to cover in the Andy Chipling speech. I want you to cover how you started, all the world records, what they've all got to do, and the reason that you like it, because it's cutting away from all the technology and doing that. Andy Chipling, the stage is yours. Go for your spiel.
Okay. Well, I started off doing paper aircraft like most children do when my father taught me how to do a paper plane. And then going to school, we found out paper planes were a fun thing to do because it was a distraction, lessons and things like this. And then it went on from that, and I then started working for Imperial College London in the civil engineering department. We had a large hydraulics laboratory, which is 5 stories high, which allowed me to fly a plane from right at the top of the laboratory all the way down. And this meant you could test lots of different paper aircraft. Now, we all, as adults, think of paper aircraft like we all build this one. And to be honest with you, this one is pretty awful, really. It's the one that everybody shows as the icon. It's an iconic design. However, it doesn't fly very well. Yeah, this one is not an iconic design. There's a big difference. It doesn't have the weight balance correct. There's more weight at the front because there's more paper folded into this one.
Oh, so and sometimes, you can help me with this, Andy, I sometimes put a little paper clip on.
That changes. No, it's depends. It's according to the rules, the Guinness World Rules, which I wrote the rules for distance, time aloft, and wingspan. Yes, it's cheating because you're not allowed to put anything like that on top.
Well, if you wrote the rules, though, if you wrote the rules, Andy, you can change them, can't you? You can say, Andy Eborn's paperclip. No, that's I could get in the world record, Guinness World Records, because you wrote the rules. You can change the new lockdown rules. The 2020, Andrew Eborn's got a new rule. He's broken the record. It's gone for miles around Regent's Park, and I can get that sorted. Brilliant! Today we're going to set a world record because Andy Chipling writes the rules.
Unfortunately, not. Guinness Book of Records, which were Guinness World Records. Guinness Book of Records are the ones who are in charge of this sort of thing, and it's down to them. I had the privilege of having a very close connection with them many years ago, and I was able to help improve the rules that were written in a very loose, like everything. All of their rules, they've changed things. Guinness have become very sophisticated now, and the Guinness World Record people are very much, they've got so much experience now, whereas years and years ago, they had experience of publishing, whereas now their experience is so diverse. It's unbelievable that the publishing people there have done an amazing job. They've turned the company from a great success into a major world.
It is a phenomenal success. And one of the things you may not know is that firstly, their offices are very close to the Magic Circle, so just about 5 minutes from here. That's what
really.
And also, Octopus, my company, used to handle all of their video assets. So we had a digital asset management system, which they first used, which helped them sell. Right. So we had all these clips that we managed and put the metadata in there so they could see all of that on a very interesting basis. So I have a long history with Guinness World Records. And now I'm going to be a Guinness World Record holder because they allow paper clips to be put on the noses. Did you know that?
No, they don't. No, they don't, Andrew. The thing is, before, when it was written by Norris McGuirter.
Yes, I remember him.
Amazing guy. And he was on the program with Roy Castle.
I remember Roy, and Roy was brilliant because he played all those instruments and things. Oh, look at us doing it at the same time. That's Roy Castle. And he used to come on and do record break. He used to sing that song. How did it go?
You've got to be a record breaker.
Oh, you're very good. You've got a voice on you as well. Well, that's good though. We didn't know that about Andy Chipling.
I sing in the gospel choir at Harvest Time Church. So
do you have a record breaker? Is that what you do?
No, I don't do record breaker. It's more like hallelujah.
Aren't you? Is that you go in there?
Hallelujah.
The jazz hands, and I'm a record breaker.
That's
But they love you.
Yeah. No. Well, I hope they love me, but I love them. They're great people.
I love a gospel choir. There's something so uplifting about a gospel choir. Yeah?
Our choir is quite phenomenal. It's hard work. I thought when I first joined, I thought, oh, this would be easy, because I'm an advanced open water diver with Paddy and things like that. I thought, oh, this is going to be easy because I can hold my breath a long time.
You're an advanced diver?
An advanced open water diver.
That's what I thought you said. What's that got to do with being a gospel singer? How on earth? How on earth is that connected?
I'll tell you how. Breathing.
Go on then. Breathing.
You think that you can hold your breath a long time, therefore you've got good lungs.
Okay.
But when you start to sing, when I was singing, first of all, I found I was out of breath because I couldn't. It's not the breathing; it's controlling it, and changing the pitch and the notes and things like this, and following the words. And then when you add in a bit of the to it as well, and then you've got foot movements, and then you've got other things. It's very, very difficult. So it's quite tricky to do.
So how many people are in the choir?
Gosh, how many people in the choir? I would say under 20. In our choir.
It's not difficult to count, Andy. You've got 10 fingers and 10 toes. You can't say under 20. It's not...
but people, since the lockdown, some people are not in the choir, some people are. So there's a core group of people. So I can't tell exactly how many people. I can go
and how many men, how many women? Is it divided equally? How does it work?
No, it's not divided equally. I said there was less men than women.
Okay.
There's about four or five men, and the rest will be women. And it depends on what stage, because everybody has their time to be in the choir. Sometimes they drop out because of having a baby or whatever, or they've got work commitments, or they're working abroad. But a lot of people in our church are international. It's a very international church, and so they will go abroad and do work and then come back again.
Sort of right. So it's a big community from different nationalities from around the world.
About 21 different nations in our church.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh, in your church, I was going to say in your choir, because there's only about 20. So yes,
no. But there's a lot. In our there's Jamaican people. There's mixed Jamaican and English. There's Zimbabwe. There's people from Nigeria, from China, from Spain.
Yeah.
From where is it? Oh, there's just so many different places.
Oh, I'd love that. I thought we should get them on the show. I would love, and we could try this. We could have your choir singing to me, because I have the rich and the famous and really brilliant musicians.
They're not all together though, are they? They're at the moment they're having to do it via link. Can they do it?
No, that's fine. But I can get 20 people on the screen and they can all sing to me. I've done that. I'd love that. We will reunite your choir.
I don't know if all 20 of them are actually doing live sing-ons, because it's not for everybody to be brave enough to do like I'm doing with yourself, talking to you.
Okay.
You
don't need to be brave. I don't bite too often. It's got to be good. So what's the choir called? We'll give them a shout out at least. What are they called?
It's harvest time. Our pastor says the going place is the International Harvest Time Choir.
International Harvest Time Choir. Well, you're very welcome. If you are in that choir, write to me at LOL, that's LOL, at octopustv.com, and we'll get you on the show with Andy. In the meantime, it's back to paper airplanes. How did we get from choirs to paper airplanes? Yes, okay, well, so talk us through.
Because the breathing.
It's the breathing, and I've won a Guinness World Record. That's how we got there, I remember.
Yeah, we diversified too much. So anyway, I started doing this. I then, many years later, I formed what was called the British Paper Aircraft Association. And then the internet came out, so it changed to the Paper Aircraft Association, because I thought it won't be so popular if it's called the British, because everyone will just want to think it's only for the British people. So we did that. And then I started talking to Guinness. When I looked at the rules, they had some crazy rules in there. They had things, there was a television company, for example, in, I'm trying to think where it was. It's possibly in Japan. And they had the world record for a paper aircraft being aloft.
Oh, do you remember which company it was? Because I've had a long history of Japan. So for many years, I worked with Fuji Television, which is the equivalent of ITV over here in the UK. And I also worked with Dentsu, which was a massive advertising agency. So if you ever saw the movie Lost in Translation, brilliant movie with Bill Murray, and you get these big stars who would come and promote these brands, but just in Japan. And the reason they did it in Japan, because they got lots of money and nobody would see it. So it was actually a brilliant snapshot. And I got people like Stephen Hawking. I did the contract there. We did Maggie Thatcher would come along and do an advert in Japan. And it was a glorious, glorious time. So I know Japan very well. And it probably would have been one of those fantastic shows that they have in Japan, where they encourage lots of people to come and break the records. They produce some of the best programming in the world, really creative stuff.
Well, what they did was they created a ring of lights all around the studio in a circle, and they had other lights either side like this. So they created basically a thermal track, and they released the paper aircraft, and the paper aircraft would go round like this on the track, just being held up by the thermal power of the heat rising. Now, of course, this went round for about an hour or so. And of course, that was meant to be a world record for the longest time aloft.
And that was a television program, was it? That sounds like riveting.
No, that wasn't a television program. That was a world record in the Guinness Book of Records.
Oh, okay.
Of course, although it's an interesting fact, it wasn't really a world record. It's a bit like science. It was a science physics experiment, and the results of it, it wasn't a world record. So now we have a world record. People, you throw the paper aircraft up into the air, and then how long it takes to come down, that's the world record.
Okay.
That's the time it takes. So it's literally relies upon a person throwing it straight up into the air. And the time aloft is 27.9 seconds.
I thought it was 27.6.
No, that was the old one by Ken Blackman.
That was the old one. That's right. It was the old one, wasn't it? Because I remember my history of these sort of things. So when did they break that 27.6 record?
I can't remember off the top of my head when they broke it. A few years ago now, about 4 or 5 years ago now.
Very good.
So Ken Blackman's a friend of mine in America. He works for the aerospace industry. He works on very secret hush-hush American drones. He works on the aviation and aeronautics.
I'll tell you what, they use paper clips, don't they? That's one of the hush-hush things they do. I've heard of that.
Possibly, but I think they're perhaps anti-gravity paper clips. So if you haven't quite, I shouldn't have told you about that. I shouldn't have told you about that, but yeah.
Such a downer, gravity, isn't it? Such a downer.
It is. It's a bit too weighty a subject for me,
we're here all week. Gone.
Right. It's you can't get it attached to paper clips in such a way.
I thank you. Yes, it's all good. Clip around.
Do you remember Do you remember the experiment we used to do at school? We used to talk about metal fatigue, and you used to get a paper clip and bend it, and bend it back, and then you'd talk about the metal fatigue, and it would snap in half.
Yes.
Yeah. I just wondered because we did that as well. Never found it any use.
Are you tired? Is that what you're saying? Do you need to go and lie down? Is this Chipling fatigue? It's got to be good.
Yeah.
We've worn it out, folks.
So let's carry on. So then I said, look, I spoke to Guinness, and because I think it's because I work for Imperial College. The same with NASA. When I spoke to NASA, because I was working for Imperial College London, they then took notice of me, and I spoke to them about this. And this is where lots of the things have come from. They allowed me to go out. I visited them in their offices, and to be honest with you, I can't remember where I went. It's so many years ago now that I was with Guinness doing work with them, but they were very, very good. I mean, I cannot thank them enough, because if it wasn't for Guinness being there in the first place, I don't think any of this sort of thing would happen. So they're really the facilitators of making something very, 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 very normal and basic, and what every child's right is to build a paper plane. They've made that into something which is international. And then we've had competitions like Red Bull doing paper wings and things like that, where they've had 84 different countries taking part in Austria, and people winning a flight in a Red Arrow's Gnat, and going up in an Apache attack helicopter, going up in a Red Bull stunt plane. And I remember I was in Austria at Hangar 7 in Salzburg, and seeing the guy who came down, taken to hospital because he was so sick, he had to go to hospital to be sedated after being in the stunt plane. And that was his prize for doing time aloft. He got a trip in a stunt plane. Of course, this was too much for the young lad. And this is a university student. They got
it isn't fun. And people always forget a lot of these things. They think it's going to be fantastic to be in a stunt plane. They want to go wing walking. And stuff like that. The other thing that they used to do with Formula One, and I did a lot of work with Formula One, they used to have these two-seater ones where people would sit behind the drivers. And I think what people don't realise is the force, actually most people just couldn't, you sat behind these things and you'd have one of these fantastic drivers would drive you. And most people were not, couldn't keep down their vol-au-vents. So that's probably the best way of putting it.
I quite agree, yeah. I've been to Mercedes-Benz World and been out in the AMG Mercedes, and after doing 2 different test drives out there with the racing drivers that they drive around as a passenger, I felt quite ill. And I'm used to, I'm an ex-race director for a go-kart circuit, so I'm used to driving fast. I'm an ex-road rally driver, this sort of thing. So I've done lots of these things, and I've done lots of flying. I've done loop-the-loops in airplanes. I do paragliding. I've done paramotoring, hang gliding, skydiving. I'm Mr. Action Man.
Well, you certainly are, all the way up in the sky, all the way down to the diving, which is phenomenal. But I'll tell you what, the
slowing
really
down
good
now.
drive, what's that?
I'm slowing down now as I'm getting older.
Really good drivers, though, you don't know that they're driving. I was very lucky after one of the races in Lisbon. Ayrton Senna, a fantastic driver who, icon in the motor racing world. He took me and a Japanese client and his manager, and he drove to this fantastic restaurant where we had lovely lobster. He was going so fast, but we didn't notice the curves and things like that, because there's a skill that these drivers had, which is just phenomenal. And a lovely guy as well. But what's really, really interesting is that sort of stuff. You are so diverse, you say, from the diving to the sky to the other bits and pieces. And it's starting with the science, doesn't it? So what I want you to do is, if you can talk us a little bit through the science to get us started, and then we're going to bring you back and we'll do lots of other ones. Talk us through the perfect paper aeroplane, what I call the PPA. People are talking about PPE, and there's not enough of that. We want to talk about the PPA, perfect paper aeroplane. Go for it.
The Paper Aircraft Association's PPA, of course.
Oh, was it?
Almost. No, it's not really. I'm kidding you there. But there is no perfect paper aircraft.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, and in tomorrow's episode.
Yes, that's it, yes.
Was that it?
Thank you very much.
I've just built you up. We've been on for 2 hours.
Okay.
And you come in, and this is like the climax of the show. And I said,
honestly,
I've built you up all the way through, and you come on and say there's no perfect airplane. Well, thank you, Andy Chipling. It's a joy to see you.
Right, for example, John Collins and Joe Adobe, they hold the world record for distance. John built the plane and designed the plane called Suzanne. That is a beautifully perfect paper plane for distance. However, different planes are different in different environments, and different atmospheres. So the stunt plane is really, really good. Crazy Stunt Special, this is really good for different stunts and for looping the loop, things like that. This plane here, Project Space Plane, is on the use because it's got longevity, it's got very straight flight. And also, if you let go of it, it actually turns round. It will actually flip over if you let go of it, it'll turn around. So it strives to right itself wherever it goes. So that's the beauty of this plane. So every plane has its own unique. It's like, which is the best car, Andrew?
A Bentley.
But yes, because you've got one. But that's not. Have you still got Elton John? Have you still got Elton John's Rolls Royce, by the way?
Yes.
Oh, that's a secret. I'll cut that bit out. But anyway. Many years ago, I realized that there are what I'd call good planes. This is a very good plane all round. I teach this one because it's very good for teaching, because it teaches how to do things like the Yokomura lock.
The Yokomura lock.
Which locks the wings together, locks these wings inside here, keeps these wings.
Oh, yes.
So that wing is actually trapped under there. And so to get that under there, you have to put this here, and that locks it. So when it shuts together, it grips it. And this here at the back here, this very clever device here. I always say to people, is it like a diamond? Is it like a diamond in the sky? Yeah. Of course, there's a song like that. So I say to the kids, look, is it like a diamond in the sky? Oh, that's a song, isn't it? Of course, the kids know that. So they really get involved with that one because it's, the Rihanna song, shining bright like a diamond in the sky. If you don't know that, Andrew, I'm sure you do.
Well, I thought you were going to do Lucy in the Sky with diamonds. I mean, there's all sorts of songs about diamonds.
But there's also this here.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's got a very clever locking system. The front is locked. It's got a very clever lock. And this is
what's that lock called? What's that lock called, Andy?
Now, do you know what? That's a very good question.
That's called the Eborn lock. That's the Andrew Eborn lock. And underneath the lock, you'll find a paper clip.
I'm pretty sure it's not. But I can't remember what this lock is called, Andrew. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's called the Eborn lock. If anybody asks you again, it's the Andrew Eborn lock.
And this one here, the Canard Troop Transporter.
Oh, I like that one.
My book. This is in my book, and it's flying. This is like.
Well, you're plugging your book now. What's your book called?
Right, so.
What's your book?
This is a book I haven't got any royalties on.
Oh, right.
Flying paper planes. If you go to Amazon, you can find it easily. And even on eBay, you get second-hand ones really cheap. It's quite embarrassing. But you can get it in English, French, Italian, I think, and German. So there's lots of different languages which it comes in. But this one's really quite a cool one because it's got these canals at the front which help keep it straight, and these at the back. And of course, the wind blows through here, and it also heats it. So it makes it. This also traps the air a bit like a hovercraft, so the air can't get away underneath here. And this is like on a big aeroplane, they have these winglets, don't they, which stop the air from flying across the edge. So that's what happens with that. Let me tell you a story, Andrew. This is a story which I've got. It's on my YouTube channel, but it's a story of many years ago, about 10 years ago when I was in Zambia. I was in a town called Kalalushi, which is in the Copperbelt. And I was teaching there at a school called the Chumba Basic School. And I had to go through all the regulations of getting checked out and making sure that the local council for schools approved of me as a teacher. So I did that stuff and then went to school and they were okay. It's fine. So I taught there. But the day before I taught in the school, I was walking into the village, and there's about 1,000 people in this village. Bear in mind, it's an old copper mine area. So there's all the old English houses that were built up, which have now been rehoused with the locals in it, and the copper mines are still working, but not in the same way as they were when the British were there. And the kids were throwing stones out of the bush to attract my attention and shouting out, "Musungu!" See, which it's not the nicest thing to shout at, you know, it's shouting out, "White man!" You know, but that's the way it goes these days. Because I'm well known, is that if people shout Musungu, I say to them, "Black man." I say, "You foreigners." They say, "What do you mean? You're the foreigner." I say, "No, to me, you're all the foreigners." And they will have a bit of a laugh. But the ones who get it and think it's funny. But the ones who don't just think, "Why is he calling us a foreigner?" I say, "Well, you're a foreigner. To me, you're a foreigner." You know, you think I'm the foreigner, but this whole place is covered in foreigners. You know, they're all talking this strange language. Yeah, na papata, ewe, na kana. So this is quite hilarious. So I used that to my advantage. So then I went to the school the next day. Now I'm at this school and I recognized some of the children who were throwing stones out. So of course they were a bit embarrassed. It's like, "Hello, I saw you yesterday, didn't I?" I said, "Weren't you having fun playing catch with some stones?" You see, and they're like, "Oh." Anyway, so I taught them for 2 hours, including going outside in the playground. And this is a big class. And this is where you learn that the children there are so grateful because they were coming up to me. They say, "Can I have some paper?" And they come up and they bow and they curtsy. If they're men, they bow, they curtsy. Very polite children in every sense of the word. And they wanted it. And after that lesson, all of them go out to the other classes and they teach the other classes. They all get split up and they help the other classes learn. So we can do the whole school in a day. Well, the next day, I'm out in the street walking along, and the kids, instead of shouting out Musungu, are shouting out Andy, and they're waving. So I thought, well, that's nice. But they're picking up pieces of paper off the floor, and they're pieces of paper that are like this. They're crease pieces of paper. And they've got A5 pieces of paper like this with Sun soap on it, or Zoom soap. And it's been run over by a truck covered in mud. And I'm thinking, I said to them, "What are you doing? Do you remember I said to you, this is an aerospace material? And this now is not a piece of paper. It's a aerospace material, and it has to be treated carefully. You don't want to have any creases in it." And they said, "Oh, yes, we know. My uncle," he said, "he showed us how they make paper. He said, come with me, I'll show you. Round the corner of this hedge with this house, and every single window was wet, drying paper. So they'd got this paper, they'd put it in some soapy water, they'd washed it, they'd put it on the window, and then they peel it off, and it's flat. Now, this is amazing. So then they can make paper aircraft from it. So they're picking up the rubbish from the street, making it. Now, it's not as good because once you've creased it, you've broken the fibers in the paper slightly, but it's still better than nothing. And you can hide some of the rips and tears inside the folds. So they can be inside these bits here. You can have pieces inside this piece here that might be creased up. It can be creased. This can be creased a little bit, and it doesn't matter. You can hide those within the fold. So I said, "What are you doing?" Because they had a whole bag full of these paper aircraft. They said, "Oh, we're taking these to the shanty town where the children have got no toys, so they can have some toys to play with." And I thought, so my heart filled up. I thought, this is just so amazing. What gosh, they've gone from throwing stones to insulting me to making paper aircraft for children who haven't got anything in the town where they're living in really poor areas. You know, they've got no proper sanitation, they've got no regular food supplies. They're just doing this for that. I said, "That's wonderful, well done." He said, "Oh, the next day," he said, we're going to the teacher who teaches for food. And I said, what do you mean, teaches for food? I was confused. And he said, oh, this lady has got a big area. She's got basically a big area with plastic sheets on it. And she teaches the children there. The parents bring their children along so they can go to work. She looks after them for the day, and they give them some millie meal to make in shimmer, or pop it's called as well. It's another name for it, pop. Or they give them tomatoes or beans, or they might give them rice, whatever they've got, onions. They give that to the lady. The lady feeds her own children and her family, and for the whole day she teaches them. So she teaches for food. He said, we're going there. I said, oh, what are you doing there? Oh, we're going to give a lecture on paper aircraft to the whole school. So I'm like, so you're going to be a lecturer? He said, yes. I said, do you want me to come and help? He said, no, we don't need you. He says, you've taught us well. So I thought, thanks a lot. Now, these are 10 and 11-year-old children who have gone from throwing stones to giving to shantytown children to going to be lecturers in 3 days. Yeah. So Andrew, when somebody asks me, why do you do it?
Yeah.
It's a good enough reason, because it helps educate from the grassroots. It's core directive learning, and it really, really helps people to be able to bond with their children. Instead of spending £40 on a computer game or more, they buy paper and they can build a paper aircraft. They can get outside. They can do it inside if it's raining. They can learn how to do origami. They can learn about science. They learn about physical engineering. They learn about hydroscopic water absorption, so if it gets wet and damp. You know, there's all sorts of things. So that's the beauty of it.
I know, and I love it. In this day of lockdown, where people are learning at home and doing homeschool education, I think that's sensational. So to finish with, and I say we will bring you back, but to finish with now, what I'd like you to do is to pick whichever may be your favorite one. As you say, it varies on whether you want to loop the loop, or you want to go distance, or you want to do whatever, the type of airplane. But to take us through from the very beginning, from a flat sheet of paper, there we go, flat sheet of paper, right, to a finished aircraft. If you can talk us through that from the very beginning, and then anybody watching this program will be able to do it, and then we'll get you back and we'll do a different variation. So start with the one you're going to show us today.
Okay, I need to hope that I can actually get the camera in the right position. That's the problem, because I'm slightly limited, Andrew, with my camera setup. Let's see if I can bend this down.
Yeah, that's good. I can see it now. Fantastic.
Yeah, apart from the fact the camera's going to fall on the floor.
Doesn't matter. That'll add to the amusement. We love that. And actually, if you could arrange the camera to fall on the floor, that'll be like the punchline as well. So it's good.
Yeah,
okay, that's good, Andy.
Also,
fantastic.
I won't be speaking to you ever again. That'd be the problem.
Oh, look at you. I get a bonus as well. Hurrah. So, we've got a sheet of paper. Go for it.
So you're lucky I know you, Andrew, isn't it? Eh? Right, so sheet of paper on a flat sheet. So make sure your hands are dry. We fold it in half. So make a letterbox fold like so.
Okay, I'm doing it with you. Go on then.
And then we turn it over, and you fold a crease on the other side. So you make sure it's good on the other side. Then we open it up like a tent. So it's like a tent like that, Andrew.
Let's have a look. Yeah, I've got mine. I can open it like a tent.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then we're going to...
A wigwam and an igloo. I'm 2 tents.
Yes. Let me show you.
Go on then.
That's like the... what's it? The chap who says... oh, gosh. I'll think of his name in a minute. But let me show you this bit. Before you do this bit, let me show you this piece here. Tim Vines, with his joke about... he went into a camping shop and he said... I'd like to buy something for camping. He said I want a couple of them. He said, oh, 2 tents. I'm sure I'm getting this joke wrong. He said 2 tents. He said, oh, I'm sorry. He says I'd like to buy. You know, they're relaxed about it. I can't remember the joke. We'll find it later on.
I get it, Dad. I get it. Well, what I love about these is when people regurgitate other people's jokes. They're funnier because
I do it so badly. But here we are. See the gap there?
Yes, there's a gap. Yeah,
there has to be a gap. That gap's important. Now, let me show you why. When I do the next fold, as I fold this across like this,
yeah,
that gap then fits on the mounting of that piece there. You can see the mounting.
Oh yeah,
there.
I can see the mounting.
That gap sits on top of that, so it helps it keep it more stable. Yeah.
Well, that's a good tip because I've never heard that before. So leave a gap.
Yeah, the gap is very important. Okay. Now we do an about here fold. and the about here fold is about an inch or 25 millimeters in new money.
Okay.
See that gap there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this corner. I wish I could remember that joke properly. I haven't done Tim any favors. He's a wonderful guy, and he once got me on stage at Richmond Theatre, but that's another story. And so we're folding both these to that point there. Both of these to that point. There is a YouTube video on this.
Okay, yeah.
And then this is where the Yokomura lock comes from. Now, from what I know is the Yokomura lock is called the Yokomura lock after Mr. Yokomura in Japan. However, it's believed that Mr. Yokomura didn't actually make this lock. Someone else did, but Mr. Yokomura was more famous, so therefore he got it named after him.
Scandalous.
He did it a lot more. It's a bit like the Andrew Eborn paperclip.
Oh, we know about that.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before, but it's the first time for everything, isn't it? So this is it. We fold this bit back, but if you do it too far, you'll crease. You see how these pieces come out? Don't do that. Just do it so it just grips it there like that.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're going to bring this together like this. So you're having that triangle on the outside.
Yeah.
The plane is like that. Now press this down so it's nice and flat. And now this is the bit which is always fun. We're going to fold. I hope you can see this properly. From here along to here. Now it's slightly higher at the back than it is at the front. But when we do this, it's a real clue. Don't hold the piece of paper here. Don't hold it here. Hold it here when you fold it. Now I'll show you why. This is very weak and you can crease this. So you can't get that thick piece of paper there to bend by holding it here. Here, there's a natural piece. See that crease there?
Yeah.
Starting off? That's no good. This is where adults just don't bother because they think, oh, it's just a paper aircraft. You can fold it anyhow. Unfortunately, it's not. It's an aircraft which needs to be taken care of. So I have it upside down like this. And I will hold the front of the plane here. I don't know if you can see this. I'm holding the front.
Yeah.
And I'm folding it over like this. I'm making sure that tip there is folded. And I'm looking at this end here and I'm seeing whereabouts it's going to fold. So I'm seeing it's going to be about there. It's going to crease. So now I crease the thick part. Then I run my finger along there. That's almost on the pencil line that I've drawn. Yeah. Then I will, once I've done that, I turn it over and I do the same on the other side. Again, this time I'm going to lift it over and see how I'm just using my hand just gently to push it like this. Now I'm lining up now this corner here with the other corner. So I'm now doing this sort of business. So I can see I can move that like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't want to be there, it wants to be there. So once it's there, then I crease the thick part up here. Then I run my finger across there. That's that done. Once I've done that, I'm now lifting out and I'm holding onto the triangle underneath. And I'm getting my fingers like this. I always say to the kids, it's a bit like a crocodile. And I'm going to put it here and I'm holding onto this bit here. I put my fingers here and I just lift up. When I lift up, it makes it square like that. Yeah. Now I run my fingers along this crease here to make that nice and sharp on the wing. Now, once I've done that, I take my scissors to here. Children and Andrew Eborn, be careful. And I'm going to cut this wing there. It's about 25, 30 mil here and about 20 mil back. Cut it like that.
Okay.
So that's cut that. You haven't got scissors, have you, Andrew?
I can pretend. I can pretend. It's going to be good. Okay.
Okay.
I'll remember this bit.
Then we open the plane up.
Yeah.
We push this wing up in the air.
I can probably
hold
do
on
this
to the
again.
triangle underneath. Squeeze
Yeah.
this bit together. Now you can see this is ramped up a bit at the back here.
Well, I can see that. There you go. I've ripped it a bit. I'll do it nice.
Yeah, rip it. That's fine. Rip it's fine. Okay.
Okay.
It's ramped up at the back. So now I turn it over.
Yeah.
Down, and I squeeze the wings down.
Okay.
Now can you see this here? This curve.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is run my finger along that fold and reverse that.
Yeah.
And reverse this piece here.
Yeah. Done it.
Then hold on to the triangle again.
Yeah.
Turn the plane over.
Yeah.
Get my two fingers, and only at the front I push down.
Push down. Yeah.
Pushing down at the front. If I push at the back, you're trying to get a thin piece of paper to move a thick bit. It's going to fail here or here. Once that's done, open it up. Does it look like a diamond? This is where the bright like a diamond. It should look bright.
It does. Yeah, it looks like a diamond. Mine's a bit rough because obviously I don't have the scissors, but that's okay. Yeah, that's a diamond.
You've done a good job. Yeah.
It's pretty
good. Hold
good.
it back together again, and if the wings are sticking up like mine are now,
yes, they are.
Back down again.
Put them down
back
again.
Down,
Okay,
make it square.
And you do it at the thick bit. You do it at the thick bit because obviously that will get the thin bit with it rather than the other way around. Okay,
yes,
that's cool.
With the thick bit, yeah. Now tweak the edge up. Just do a little bit
up a little bit. Okay.
Just a little bit at the back.
Yeah, done that.
And now that should be perfect. It should fly nicely. Now the thing about flying paper aircraft is that you fly with limited movement indoors. You fly it to its flying speed. If you throw it too fast, imagine if I threw this at 300 miles an hour.
Yes.
What would happen to it? The tail would rip off. The wing would distort. It wouldn't be very good, would it? So you've got to fly it to the correct speed. If you throw it too hard and too up in the air, it will stall and crash. So what you've got to do is fly it to its flying speed. Now the best way to do that is to hold it like this and do that. Just literally, it's a bit like Larry Grayson, a bit like shut that door.
Okay.
But it's your hand is on a rail. So most people will do this.
Go then.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
You need to do this. You need to pull back. So you're keeping it straight.
And it's keeping it flat and that sort of horizontal.
Watch, I'm keeping it flat. And if anything, when you throw it, you throw it straight. So if I do a little throw here, I don't know if I can show you this. This is
Okay, then this is good.
And I haven't trimmed this yet, so you see how that flew?
Oh, it flew very well.
I'll throw another one. Here's another one. You can see that?
Yeah, I can see it beautifully.
So that's basically it.
Well, that's wonderful. Here we go. So I've got mine. It's not bad. I mean, apart from the fact that I didn't do it with scissors. So how do I rate for the first attempt? Is that all right?
You've got a bit of a droopy nose, but
hey,
never mind.
Hey.
Can I see the diamonds?
Oh yeah, well you can.
Where's the diamond?
How's the diamond? I mean, it's a bit rough because I ripped it.
Where's the triangle underneath?
It's there. There's the triangle underneath. See?
Okay. Yes. Got you. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. That's good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, not bad for a first. Okay. So I'm going to throw it. I won't be able to get it back. But I'm going to throw it. Is that good?
Yeah.
I'm holding it right, like this. Yes.
Yes.
Throw it to the side. Hold it right. Where do I put my hand? Right on the nose or on the triangle? Where would you recommend?
Hold it here.
Yes. Okay. So about there, where the
on the triangle. On the triangle.
Yeah.
And then remember to throw it. When you throw it, you're throwing it straight like that. You're not doing this.
Straight like that. So I'll do it here so it can go on the screen. Okay. You ready? 1, 2. Look at that! It's gone for miles. 98. What was the record? That's without a paperclip.
226 feet 10 inches.
Those details. They'll be online afterwards. They're also in your book where you're getting massive amounts of royalties. We love it. You will come back and join us again, won't you?
I will do another book at some time, but I need to be able to get my life a bit more stable so that I can then do another book and produce something which I want to put Project Spaceplane in the book because that's not in the book. The Crazy Stunt Special is, the Canard Troop Transporter is, but I want to do some new things. I want to be able to help parents also encourage about different games you can play with these. And in my book, there is a game actually as well called Paper Air Raid.
Paper Air Raid. How do you do that?
That's a game. Well, basically, it's a game where you put a string down in the middle of the room, like an S shape, for example. That's your border, your country border.
Yeah.
And then you'll have your bases, which will be your headquarters, which will be just basically a piece of paper like this. And then you have another piece of paper which has got dotted lines down it, and that's the runway. And your aircraft sit on those. So you sit around the bigger the room you've got, the better.
Yeah.
You sit around the room with your paper planes, and you'll throw your paper plane towards the other side. And as you throw as it lands on the other side near their air bases, you can then throw a dice. And if it says 5 or 6, you've got 5 or 6 inches. You can do it, or 9 or 10, it might be, or 12 if you're lucky. And that could be where your bombs will hit. And then you can throw the dice again, see how much damage you've done. You keep a score. And as you do that, each plane can get destroyed, or you can destroy the runway. So they can't take off from that runway, but they have to use a runway further back. So the runway is closest to the line at the front of the ones that you use. So it's a game, basically, which using paper aircraft to learn your skills, to hone your skills, to throw your paper aircraft. And it's a simulated war game as well. So if you hit your headquarters, you get more points. And on the way back, you're meant to fly your planes back as well. And on the way back, at the other side, throw a 6-6. They blow your plane up with anti-aircraft fire, but they've got to throw a 6-6 to get that. So you've got a chance to shoot their planes down. And it actually is, it's surprising when adults have played it, they get really excited playing this game.
It's not surprising at all. And what I genuinely love about it, Andy, what I genuinely love it costs virtually nothing. So anybody at home, don't need to spend fortunes on computer games and stuff like that. Don't need to worry about technology. As I say, the great thing about this pandemic is it's been a great unifier. Having a common enemy is one of the best unifiers of all. If we can get people doing stuff together, making their paper planes, the world would be a better place. Yeah, plain and simple.
I've had parents come up to me and say to me, "Thank you so much. My child was only interested in his computer game. Now he wants to do paper aircraft, and he's actually looking on YouTube for different paper aircraft things. He asked me, could I buy some multicolored paper so I can have lots of different colors? Children are writing things on it. They're drawing pilots' faces. They're doing jets at the back. They're doing landing wheels, all sorts of things. They're putting messages to their friends on it. They're putting, some of the people in church are putting a religious message, a psalm on it, or something like that onto it, and throwing it and trying to share the word, or using for advertising purposes. If you look at the number of people who use paper aircraft for advertising, you look at the emails, you see a paper aircraft flying, don't you, from an email. Sometimes they use it as a graphic. Right. You get companies use paper aircraft all the time for saying airmail. You know, it's a classic airmail sign, isn't it? They've used them. There's statues all around the world. There's works of art in many, many different countries. Lots of places, even in Salzburg, there's a paper aircraft up on the wall outside a restaurant, a big metal one. There's other ones that are in the ground, that are buried in the ground, like they've crashed into the ground. There's a memorial site for an air crash, which has got a paper aircraft above it, a standard Dart, one of these standard ones like this, at the top with the names of the people who died underneath it. Just as a graphical symbol. In Sydney, right, there's a huge sun canopy made of lots and lots of paper aircraft. And there's so much art involved with paper aircraft because it's a basic fundamental right of every person on this planet to be able to build a decent paper aircraft. And I want to help.
Fundamental right. I love that. This will be the new Bill of Rights. Fundamental right.
It should be the Bill of Human Rights. And Andrew Eborn, may I say thank you so much for giving the opportunity to help promote something which I think is basically pure and is a fundamental right of every child, to be able to build a decent paper plane and to bond with their parents because they can do something really nicely. It doesn't matter what age you are, what sex you are, you can build a paper aircraft, and it can be a wonderful bonding toy, and uncles can teach their nephews and nieces it, fathers can teach it, mothers, grandfathers, everybody. I get whole families come up to me at air shows when we're building these, and the father says, "Oh no, just let him build a paper aircraft. I know how to do it." And I then say to the child, "You want daddy to build one as well, don't you? So when you forget, he can show you. And we want to teach daddy, don't we? So let's have daddy come along." Then I say, "Grandma, come along." "Oh, I don't build paper." I said, "No, you don't until now." They come along. They all build them. There's about 7 or 8 of them from the family, all building. They all throw them together. They're so excited. They can't believe how excited they are when you see the adults. They go, "Wow, oh, that's really good. I didn't expect it to fly that well." So they're inspired by a piece of paper. And they've gone to an air show with multi-million airplanes there, and their piece of paper, they're going with, "I'm taking this home with me." They said, he's bought stuff I bought for him, model planes. He's taking more interest in this piece of paper he's folded because he's done it himself with his dad, with his grandma, whose plane is going to be the best when you take it home. You look after your plane. And they're like this. It's like, "Don't touch my plane, man." You know? And the one thing I will say is don't pick these up by the tail, because that damages them. It makes it droop like that, and then you
always pick them up at the front, and the front is where you throw them as well. And the great
thing, by the front, the keel at the bottom.
The keel at the bottom, that bit there, yeah. Okay, I've got it. And the great thing is, if you are feeling down, everybody does, make yourself a paper plane, because this, and we talked about laughter yoga and the power of laughter and all the wonderful things that releases physically and mentally, is really, really good. Yeah. This, talk about laughter, this will have you in creases.
Oh, yes, literally in origami creases.
Exactly. In the same way. Now, go on. To finish with it, Andy, we're going to try. I'm going to get a synchronization right. I'm going to throw this to you all the way from London to Zambia. So hide your one. Hide
mine. Right.
Okay, hide your one. And look at me at it. I'm going to do this all the way. This is Andrew Eborn, lives on lockdown. Yes. Sending my plane to Zambia. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Oh. There you go. It worked beautifully. And it's a joy to see you. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you so much indeed. And God bless you, and take care. Look after yourself.
Take care. We'll see you next time.
Look forward to it, Andrew. Cheers. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So there you have it, paper planes and everything, and even some old gags, some well-known comics. We love it. Do write in, send us your pictures, how you get on with your paper planes. We will get him back, we'll get Maureen back, we'll find more about that fascinating story. But for now, I've been Andrew Eborn. You've been great. Write to me at lol, that's LOL, at octopustv.com. Don't forget to subscribe. Be safe. Stay at home, I think. But in any event, stay alert, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.